Just had to do the,
There we go.
yeah, awesome. Zoom already has some access. Yes, I know. Make sure your Zoom. Oh, okay, thank you. Manage your YouTube account. Yep. Uh, Select all. Thank you. And continue. No conversations with.
Nature's divas, because we're not divas.
Oh, I am. I'm just not in this role.
Not today. Perhaps another day.
Nature's deep. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Please hold. Your call is very important to us.
Please stand by. Oop.
Oh, look at there. Meeting is now streaming on live.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. It is Brenda and Dr. Dave. It is Monday morning, and it is already full of chaos and shenanigans, as per usual. Good morning, Dr. Dave. How are you doing today?
Fantastic.
So, yep. Are
Go
we
ahead.
ready? Okay. So we have figured out this morning that the universe wants us to change a few things. Go figure that. So we are going to be starting to stream on YouTube. So please check us out there because we will be live on YouTube, and then it will be posted to Facebook groups like What If and Nature's Divas and things like that. But then that way, this gives you access to go check us out on YouTube and see all the episodes there. So it's going to take a bit to get all those other ones uploaded to there, but from here forward, we are going to be on YouTube. So please like and subscribe, and then you will get notice when any new ones come out, which is every Monday, but we got new stuff in the works. So you never know what we're going to be posting up there on YouTube. So
There's that. Absolutely.
yeah, it's gonna be fun, that's for sure. So we've got cards flying out everywhere. So
Because they're like, you need help.
there's a couple messages you need today. So we're gonna start with these three. So in the number one position, we have Laurus Nobilis, which in other words is Bay Laurel. So that is for things that we already have. So the resources that we have already have within ourselves that we can take advantage of every day. So how is your personal power? Are you feeling connected to source? Breathe in the essence of me, Laurus Nobilis. Feel your upper chakras opening. Breathe out and feel the release of any energy blockages. The time is right for honing your skills in intuition, clairvoyance, and clairaudience. I can help amplify your psychic abilities. Spirit is always standing by to assist. It is only a matter of asking. So as we've mentioned, like many times before, we have a connection to source. Now, if that's not something that you readily use, well, it's going to take a while for you to get used to that and connect. But it takes practice and commitment to be able to do that. So it's not just one time you're like, hey, are you there? And hope that you're going to get all these messages. It's taking the time every day and creating a ritual or the habit of connecting to source and finding out what the messages are. And um, it does take a little bit. Even in the beginning of my practice, I do dream journaling as well. So I would write down my dream and then I'd sit there in the morning and I'm reading it going, what the heck are they trying to tell me? So I'd sit there and I'd wait and I'd wait and I'd wait. And then it's like, okay, it's not today. But I made the habit of sitting there and asking. And then about the third day in, it's like, boom. And I started writing and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So it takes a couple days, but if you're committed and you want that connection, it's there. All you need to do is ask, just like working with your spirit guides or your angels, all of that. It's there within your asking. They're just waiting there to help you, just standing there. They won't step in unless you ask, which is a huge, you got to ask. Or ask and you will receive. It's a very, they say it for a reason. You need to ask because we have free will. So if we don't want somebody's help, it's like, no, and you're on your own. So, but there is literally like our spirit guides, our guardian angels, our soul group, they're all standing by, just like, oh, seriously, if they just asked, we could help them. But no, we want to do it all on our own. However, if you do want some help, just ask them. Dr. Dave.
You know, I do believe that a lot of folks have forgotten that they're supposed to ask.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think that that's another thing that a lot of newer folks that are working on their spiritual life don't know that they should be asking. Because then we have some of the folks that do the I'm not worthy or why should I have the ability to, who am I to contact that higher presence? And that's their job. It's what they're in business for. And they can't intercede. They can't work for you unless you employ them or engage them. So that's critically important, and that really can shift somebody's perspective and feeling of that loneliness to, wow, super connected, knowing that you've got an entire team always with you. And I think probably in the Akashic Records work that I get to do, that really became very, very prevalent in understanding, and getting to work with each one of them in that kind of thing. I love to think now that, even though my practice is physically is a party of one, however, my headquarters team, massive. It's universal. Most people think I might have some other locations or something, but no, it's not in this plane, sorry. And those are the folks I want to work with. So please ask. Make sure you ask. If you don't ask, then they can't deliver. They can't help. Um, and then know that they've answered. Heaven answers the instant it's asked. Now our job is to figure out what the answer was, but it has always, always, always been given. Most times we don't want to hear it, so we'll say, "I didn't get an answer." No, what you mean is you didn't get the answer you're looking for. So getting super honest, and not only just being honest, but having the courage. Really, it's about that courage to choose to do whatever that guidance is telling you to do or not do. I promise you that will never be a wrong choice or a bad choice,
Mhm.
even if it's not what you think should happen. Oddly enough, I just got to have this conversation with the welder and the gentleman that is taking care of repairing our seawall and everything, welding and all the big machinery and everything else. We literally had this conversation last night. So, yeah, it's awesome. So just knowing that it's not necessarily, I I'm always reminding myself, divine timing, not your timing.
Mm-hmm.
A little impatient, and I'm Gemini, so I'm like now, now, now. Otherwise, I'll fast talk my way into the next thing that I want. So yeah, it doesn't work that way. So um, if something's not working, and thankfully, I've learned, when something seems like it's even more of a struggle, I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. Knowing the universe are putting more and more blocks and stumbling events in my path to get me to slow down and then eventually get frustrated enough to stop and go, okay, what? And I finally listen. Um, there was a time in my history that it had to be something ginormous of an event to make me take that action for the next thing, as in, car accidents, being paralyzed, those things. Um, I choose not to have those big lessons anymore. I'm like, you can just send it in a note or email, text. I'm good with that. Uh, Still haven't gotten those yet, but I know how to recognize the message when it comes in. And there's so many of our wonderful, incredible oils that we get to use to help us, whether we need to be grounded, we need to restore, release, any of those things. And here, things that we already have, having this oil, the invitation is to trust that you've got it. You have what you need. There's no other tools that you need to gain or get. You already have them. If there's additional ones that can help and fine tune, I promise you, the universe has already figured that out and you will come in contact with that. But you have to then, first, I should say, be able to show up first to that asking place. All right, I'm like, okay, I'm on board. Let's do this. Now what? And then follow. But then you get to remember that it's this magical experience, because then it becomes really fun. Um, so if we can come back into that innocence of ourselves and let go of all of the self-doubt and you don't deserve and all that adult crap, and just come back into that innocence and go, okay, well, this is going to be an adventure. Some people like roller coasters. Some people like just being in a boat, traveling down the river. Everybody's experience is different, or what it is that they like, so that your team will cater that to how that best resonates with you. And these oils help us get into that space that we've already got it. We already have it within. Ta-da!
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So our next one is grapefruit, and that is what we need to release. So let's take a look at what we need to let go of today. Open the curtains, open the windows, put your head out the window and breathe. Breathe in the wonderful fresh air. Feel the stagnant air flowing out and new fresh air flowing in. I'm Grapefruit, and I help with clearing the air. I help remove stagnant, blocked energy from your environment, as well as all aspects of you. Breathe in my scent, the freshness, the clarity, clearing out what no longer serves you. Ah, that's awesome. And being spring and everything, even though Mother Nature still hasn't gotten the memo that no more snow means no more snow, that's for winter, not spring. We're still going ahead with it's springtime, spring cleaning, open up the windows when the temperature decides to rise up for a day and let that fresh air come in, turn off the furnace and let that air circulate. And it's the same within our bodies. The majority of us are shallow breathers. We don't pay attention to our breathing. And breathing nice and deep helps our cells get oxygenated so that we can be healthy, because our cells need oxygen and they need water and they need all these different things. And so spring is that time when we're springing forward. We're not eating the heavy foods anymore of winter time, that we get a rainbow of foods because things are growing again. Yay.
Hmm.
And we get fresh fruits and vegetables and all these wonderful things for our body. Plus, we see the sunshine a lot more. So, releasing all that stagnant energy or that lethargic energy of the winter, when it's like, okay, we're going to sit and we're going to go within. We want to release that now, because now it's a taking action time. We want to see what the goals are. What are our goals for the rest of the year? What's our goals for the next week? If you don't have any goals, get some. And I know Dr. Dave and I have talked, and we're going to be having our goal setting workshop coming up again soon. So if you don't have any goals, definitely check that out, because it is amazing. And then you have the tools to move forward from that after the 6-week program, because it changed. Like the students we had were just amazing, and they rocked it. They manifested every single one of the goals that they set out to do in that 6-week program. So it is possible, it's easy, and once you have the tools, it's a no-brainer. And you just keep going, because a roadmap for your life is very important, because if you don't have that roadmap, you're just going to end up where the wind blows you to. So I'd rather not do that. I'd rather have a destination where I want to go, instead of, oh, the wind shifted me way over here where I don't want to be. So releasing just anything that no longer serves you. And we were talking this morning before we came on, we were figuring things out, and the technology's like, no, you don't want to do that anymore. No, 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 no matter how many times we went on, and either we both tried it, and the universe is like, mm-mm, not today, not anymore. You're going to do it different now. So hence the whole, we will be streaming live on YouTube. So but you recognize the signs instead of continuing to keep doing what's not working, and which creates insanity, which neither one of us are by any means.
I don't have the shirt, I promise.
And we are moving forward with that. So it's just these little steps and these little things that come in, and it's Monday morning, it's like, oh, okay, well, this is an interesting way to start Monday morning. I guess we'll need to look more at this. So yes, it's a work in progress, but it's a little step forward, and it's like, all right, universe, I see you there. All right,
Mhm.
we'll do that. And then it'll show us something else, probably in the way of chaos and shenanigans, and we'll figure it out, and we'll just keep moving that way. But it's not good to hold on to the things that no longer serve you, because you're not transforming, you're not changing, you're not growing into the person who you want to be, or who you chose to be when you came here. If you've forgotten, the universe, if you ask for their help, which is funny because Laurus Novus is like, hey, ask for help. We're standing by, just waiting. So when you ask for help, then all these little things come into play. Love how that happens.
That's great. You know, as you were sharing about the fun learning experience that we got to have before we came on, it it takes a while. Like we were fumbling and frustrated, but the moment that it's like we arrived at what the lesson was, and then we could see like, oh, it's the universe choreographing all of this, and now we're here. So now we know what that was all about. Well, that was fun. but I think that it serves as a really great example of, for you and I, Brenda, being in this field for so long, and no one's exempt from all of that teaching and learning.
Mhm.
So we get the same channels, even though we have all these extra tools that has been our career and our life path, we still have to use some of the same methods. Um, Luckily, um, because we're a little more seasoned, we should be picking up on them sooner, which I believe we do. I mean, at least it was on the same call,
Mhm.
because some people is later, years down the road that they're like, oh, that's what that was about. And I think that that is how it all works, really. To me, that's how all of life works with that whole teaching and learning process. And we're just closing the gap of when the two time frames will start getting closer and closer of realization of what the lesson is, and knowing what's in the moment, in the present moment. So how fast can you recognize what is it that the teaching is right here present? And
Mhm.
it doesn't need to always be in the rear view mirror, of having to go through an experience and then look back and go, what was that lesson? Okay, it's a perfect, and I think it's probably the only way that you can start to begin that process and working with your team. But really, that is the whole journey of closing that gap between the present now, knowing or asking exactly what that lesson is or what I'm supposed to do here so that I can learn that lesson and take it in that moment. So when we're always talking about being in that present moment, it's because we're wanting to close that gap so we can really truly have the beautiful elegance of this lesson that is unfolding within us, that our team has set up so that we get to transform and change and be that higher vibrational being. And we have so much fun when it's probably the more chaos, the more fun we have, because that's our coping strategy. Luckily. So I when I remind myself, and I have to do it a lot, um, to try to ask in every moment when something happens and occurs, of just taking a moment, literally, and taking that breath, the extra breath, and going, all right, what's this about? What other information should I be asking about, even if I don't even know what to ask? I ask, tell me what I'm supposed to ask, because I don't know what I don't know. So I'm like, can you give me a hint? But now I'm already tapping back into that higher field to know that that's how I want to access the information that's happening and playing out, in my life, in my present reality. So let's go back to grapefruit. Oh, I love grapefruit. Not a fan of the fruit itself. Nope, don't like it. Won't eat it. The oil, oh my God, yes. I have it everywhere. I go through a ton of it during the winter months, because it's that fresh, clean, open, helping remind me of, we got to keep moving this stagnant energy. It is also one of my survival kits that I have in the truck, because but I have it in a spray bottle, with water, and shake it up and spray it. Pretty much every day that I'm in the truck, because one, I love it, but it's a super clean, awake and fresh and everything else, and it's clearing any of the energy that might be stuck there of frustration or whatever it might be. If you don't know, I get to drive in Metro Detroit quite a bit, so there
Mm.
might be a little frustration. I actually don't mind it. I love driving, and that is zero intimidating to me whatsoever. So I have the luxury of doing that with lights and sirens on an ambulance, so that changes things a little.
Mm.
But grapefruit now it allows me to stay in exactly the mood, exactly the mindset that I want to be, especially when I'm driving. It lightens everything, and I can just take it all in, and on top of literally taking it all in, taking those breaths, allow the oxygenation, as you were talking about, Brenda, is the more oxygen that we're getting into the cells and everything allows us to have better oxygenation to our brain, which then allows us to have clearer thinking and not getting all of that fog and everything else that might be there causing some of the mishaps that are happening.
Mhm.
So it's beautiful, wonderful. I love that one. Mm, lemongrass and grapefruit.
Ooh.
That is a spring summer mix like no other. And if you're feeling a little jazzy, put some jasmine in it. Oh my God. It's seriously, that is like spring in a bottle to me. It is
Mm.
so good. Oh, guess what I'm doing working done. I don't think I have a blend made right now of that.
Not sure what my daughter put in the diffuser this morning, but it's running now, so it's always running. Morning,
Mm.
noon, and night, which is really, really nice. Yeah.
Question. Oh no, not a question. This is a life hack. I don't, for, especially while you were talking about the spring cleaning. I don't know if anybody might have ever mentioned using putting a couple drops of essential oil in your vacuum cleaner bag
Mm.
or the vacuum cleaner container, like mine's the plastic container thingy. So I put it in there. It's either wild orange, grapefruit. There's a citrus bliss blend of like four different citrus oils, and it's one of those that I put in every single time. And so now you're diffusing that instead of smelling all the dust and or anything else moving that you're vacuuming up. So it's like, ooh, that's nice. I guess if anybody way back in history remembers Kirby vacuums,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
you could put the water in and then you could do all that stuff. Yeah, I know most of you are gonna have to Google what that is. But,
They were powerful vacuums. My goodness, they
mm.
sucked big time in the day.
They did. It was a big business too because they were expensive.
They were very
Um,
expensive and heavy.
so heavy. Yes, they were. It was a two-person job sometimes.
Yeah, I'd say. You wouldn't want to do stairs with it, that's for sure.
Oh, good God, no. Yeah, anyway, so that was that, and it was, I think, a rainbow. One was like a cheaper knockoff version of that. I remember my one aunt had that, and it was the same thing that had the water, and I was like, whoa, that's disgusting after it was done.
Yep.
Anyway, okay, what we got coming up next?
The next one, how all this is going to play out is wintergreen. We're trying to get away from wintergreen. So, all
Hmm.
right, let's take a look here. I am wintergreen, and I am pure vibration and harmony. I can help you heighten all your senses. If you are working with sound healing, I am awesome to have along as I can help you connect the sound and your vibration, creating peace, harmony, and balance. You can increase your vibration by spending time in nature and engaging all your senses. So this is a nice way to finish that off because
Mhm.
Source has created everything. We are connected to Source. We have the ability to hone that connection. All we need to do is ask. And Grapefruit's there to just open up and just release all that stuck energy that doesn't serve us anymore and to breathe in and receive the messages from Source and to be able to be out in nature, to sit against a tree or to give a tree a hug is just a wonderful, wonderful gift. And to just get out in nature and listen to the birds and just listen to all the sounds of nature. Where I live, we have in even when it's just going from winter to spring, the frogs are out. And the one day I came home and all you could hear was frogs, and it's such a nice sound. And my granddaughter, because I would say, listen, what do you hear? And so now she's like, listen, do you hear the birds? And so she's right into stopping and taking those moments to listen, to connect to nature, which connects us all. Once you get out in nature or down by the water, you feel that connection. It's a strong connection, and we are connected to all kingdoms, whether that's bird, animal, all of them. So we're not alone. And to connect with all those helps us move forward to remember why we're here and to continue on with that and share with the world our gifts and just be more present in and be grateful for the beauty that is all around us all the time that we don't usually notice unless we take that time to sit and really listen.
Mhm. Beautiful. Um, first thing, in the emotional handbook, if you will, of what some of those emotional components are to each one of the oils, this is one of the ones that are a lot of times about surrender also.
Mm.
And but the surrender part is so that surrender to letting anything that doesn't serve you go. So just like you were talking about, is it this is that one oil that allows that to happen. It makes it light and airy and free so that it can not be attached any longer to you because it doesn't serve you any longer. As a massage therapist, I used wintergreen a ton
Mm.
for I mean, you breathe real deep with it because it's this cooling and everything. But it does the same for when you're using it on the different muscle systems where it will help bring down the inflammation because it is a cooling, so it starts calming any of the inflammation. If we think about inflammation metaphorically in our life, inflammation is stagnant. It's like that chaotic um, energy cloud, around or about something even. And so what that wintergreen does is it just kind of thins it, and as it just dissipates and transmutes away, because it no longer serves us. And when we give ourselves permission to surrender that, and then we only reply on, or we rely on, not reply, rely on divine grace. Um, and that's where the magic is. So I'm like, yeah, I know I don't need this anymore. It's not serving me. Sometimes that conversation is, I don't know why I need to let this go, but I know that I do. I don't know why, but I am, and I know that it's not serving me, but I'm comfortable. Of course, that can be a lot of different subjects, and so if we will give ourselves that bonus gift of just surrendering it, let it be, and then know that the divine grace is going to start flowing in because we've surrendered, and now please allow the divine to be able to come in and smooth out any of those things of where there might be a void of where whatever that was that we let go. Let that grace come in and soothe all of that because wintergreen usually is a very soothing, comforting vibe to me. And physically, it is, within the massage business too. That's what it is it soothes your weary, tired muscles. It rejuvenates them. But it only can do that once we get some of the inflammation down, in that, because no healing happens when there's an inflammation. So we have to get that as minimal as possible so we can begin that healing process. No, everything that I just said, elevate that to the metaphoric level. When there's chaos, there's no healing happening in our life
Mm-hmm.
around any subject, around any person, So once we surrender those things, now we can begin changing and moving into that place of where we want to be. Um, it was important, the point that you were talking about, Brenda, about that shallow breathing. Ugh. so many of our things in our culture could be never an issue if we were much more of a society that breathed from our stomachs or breathe, and I use that in hypnosis of breathing behind your belly button.
Hmm.
And it just that alone will allow you to be like, oh, that's deep. So beginning to do that process more and more. I actually use, no lie, I use that statement and technique for breathing with a dude that crashed into the cement barrier on the expressway on Saturday. It was literally in front of me, and he was hyperventilating and everything else, which is normal response, appropriate response. Um, but that's what I had him do because I knew he's like, everything's tingling. I'm like, okay, we got to get you to breathe different. So I had him really pay attention to my voice. I need you to drown out absolutely everything else and only hear me and what I'm doing. I'm going to help you alleviate that and change it. And as we do that, and so that was what I was using, is that I want you to imagine that you're breathing behind your belly button. And he was like, "What?" I'm like, "I need you to take some slow, really deep breaths. And we need to do that really, really slow and deliberate." And as he's doing that, it only took like 3 breaths. And he looked at me like, "Why does that work?" And this poor 23-year-old kid just hit a suicide wall. That's what we call it here, is the cement barrier um, between the lanes, on an expressway. And yeah, head on. And in literally by the end of, before I left the scene, when everybody else got on scene, EMS, fire, and police, um, everybody was laughing. That's another story. But we went in a very short amount of time, maybe 10 minutes tops, of going from that where he thought he was dying, and he got into the situation with what he was physically feeling because of his breath. He was hyperventilating. They weren't changing, his body wasn't exchanging the gases that it needs to properly. And so we just shift that and change it. And by breathing, because that's how he got there, by breathing, that's how we're going to get back to where we need to be. So knowing that, and that's how it works within our body system. And we have a lot of tools to be able to use that on a regular basis. So if it can be that effective on an accident scene, think about what that might be if you're using those tools in your life when you're really wanting to get clear and you don't have this massive trauma that just happened around you. But you still need to clear things because there's way too much happening in your head, lists and everything else. But that's part of our spring cleaning that we are looking at releasing and letting go. Let's get rid of any of the thick yuck that we might have around so that we can embrace that springtime, that clean feeling. And grapefruit, wintergreen, oof, yes, those are powerhouses. So I hope that everyone invites those energies in and experiences that themselves. Ta-da,
Absolutely. And
ta-da.
something to
That's it.
add to that is
Hmm.
journaling. So if you do have lists and things you got to get done, get them out of your head. Write them
Hmm.
down because then they become concrete. Those can be some of the goals that you want to do, and then put the whole SMART goal thing to work on that. And if you want more information, we will be um, getting that out soon. But get all that out of your head, because the more it sits in there and rattles around in there, the more overwhelming it becomes when it's really not that overwhelming. And as soon as you write it down, it's like, okay, well, this is doable. I can get these things done. Oh, I have time to do this. Or, okay, well, this is going to take a little bit more time. So I'm going to put that off to another day. But get it out of your head, clear your head, get it out of there. And if you have a hard time sleeping at night, do a brain dump at the end of the day. Just write. You don't have to do it in proper sentences or proper punctuation. Just write. You don't even have to read it again, but just get everything that's going on in here out of your head. Because then you have, well, I can't remember who told me, but it's like you don't want a full parking lot up there, because if you have a full parking lot, nothing else can get in. So you got to empty all those cars out, which means journaling it, releasing it, whatever you got to do, so that you've got a nice clean parking lot with all these available parking spaces to receive all the other good stuff that's coming your way.
Hmm.
So, the main thing today is to ask for help. We are not doing this alone. We have a whole team that is willing and waiting just to help us. And some of them have been assigned to us from birth. So they've been waiting a while. So
Right.
could you imagine if you had a job and you were just waiting for this person to give you a task to do, and you waited years? You'd be doing a happy dance if they finally like, oh, hey, could you help me with that? And be like, yes, I can definitely help you with that. So, throw them a bone, like help them
Yeah.
out there and let them help you because they are only there for your highest and best. They know what you came here to do. They were part of that meeting.
Yes.
So when before you came here, they were up there and you're like, all right, well, I want to experience all these things. All right, we're on it. And then you come down here and go, I don't need you guys. It's like, maybe you do because they got the answers that you have inside yourself as well. It just helps you unlock them because they're like, hey, take this step or go streaming on YouTube now because other ways aren't going to work. And then it's like, oh, okay. So just these little things and they're easy steps. And the more you do that, when you turn around and look, it's like, wow, that was quite the journey. And it was like not a problem. It wasn't this huge battle or dragging all these anchors and trying to figure stuff out. It was pretty easy. And
Hmm.
that's the way the universe works. When you have that connection and you ask for the help and everything just clicks and it's so much easier when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last
Um,
words, Dr. Dave?
yeah, I want to add on to those analogies about clearing your head at night.
Mhm.
So, especially for the millennials, this one seems to work a little as right in their vocabulary. Um, I tell I tell folks to think of your phone, where you have all of the apps that are open behind each other because you used all of them during the day and they're still running in the background. So at the end of the night, go up and close them, but
Mm.
in your head, so all the apps that you have open in your head, close them, which are subjects or, thought processes or whatever they are. So just close them, throw, however you do that on your own device. Imagine closing them. Obviously, I have a iPhone because I'm just like bing, 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 bing. You just you send them up, and that's how you close the app. But it is really effective. And two, I got all right. That's why we were bringing that up. Bedtime's not the only time you have to use that. Oh, what if you're going into a test or you're stepping into an important meeting and you need to like, all right, I need to be focused. I need to do this. So find out what apps are open, close it in your head.
Mhm.
Another bonus, how often do we do that when we're with our family? Whether
Mhm.
we're having dinner, you were out for a walk with the dog or whatever that might be. How many apps do you have open? Because you're in the cloud instead of, where you're supposed to be in reality. So making sure that we're trying to do that so that we can be present in every one of those moments. Ask yourself, how many of those apps in my head do I have open? What can I close? Most likely all of them, because none of them matter unless it is the task and the event that's happening in front of you.
Mhm.
That is the default setting. Close all of them so you can focus on what is happening in the moment. And that's the only way that we get clear guidance in live stream as opposed to having to watch the podcast of it. How's that for 2024 and this whole thing?
Very good.
Woo! Well, that was fun.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. And so next week we'll be a little bit more on task once we figure this out fully and get everything, all the technical stuff working in the background. We would love to hear from you, what resonated with you today, where you're watching in from. And yeah, so we do this every single Monday. And the first little bit is conversations with nature's divas, and then we close that out. And then we come back and we talk about positive possibilities with losing my papers here, with what if, and just looking at what's available and what options you have. So it just opens up new perspectives and is a really fun place. And if you watch them both, it's really interesting to see how the universe ties in what we talk about in Nature's Divas to What If. So it ties it all, wraps it up, and puts a nice bow on it with cherry on top, and it's
Mm.
pretty awesome. So have a wonderful week. And thank you so much, Dr. Dave, for hanging out today and playing in the
Oh yeah,
sandbox with me. It's always a fun time.
my
And
pleasure.
yeah,
Always my pleasure.
and like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.